So, do you believe that you can say your top 10 perfumes for life? I'm not sure I do, but I'm going to have a go anyway today. So, I think I've been putting this video off for a number of reasons because I'm a scientist and I overthink everything, and I just didn't want to pick things that were my current favourites and not my long-term loves. And I've got round that by sort of banning myself from choosing any fragrance that I've had for less than 4 months. I also think that these videos kind of tempt you into your favourite categories of fragrance, don't they? Certain people may really love gourmand fragrances and they may end up wanting to choose 10 gourmand perfumes, but ultimately I'm treating this video as if I'm going to a deserted island and I'm not going to be having access to any other fragrances but these 10, and I need things to cover all occasions. So that's the basis of how I've selected these fragrances. Another thing that I've realised is that top 10 for life videos are just a snapshot. They're a snapshot of the time that you filmed that video, because fragrances get discontinued, your taste changes as you go through life, you experience different fragrances, your sense of smell even changes throughout your life. And ultimately, you have different experiences in those fragrances, and that can really influence your views of them. So of course your top 10 for life is not going to be carved in stone, and I just have to accept that. I'll probably film this video in a year's time and there'll probably be mostly entirely different fragrances. But for the moment, these are my top 10. So let's start off by choosing different fragrances for different seasons. And the first season that I'm going to choose is the one we're going into, like it or not, it's autumn. And the fragrance is going to be Metal Wave by All Saints. So this fragrance, I honestly would never have even looked at this fragrance before YouTube. I think YouTube's really opened my mind to trying different brands. And this one is one that I bought blind. I couldn't try it in store and I was so pleased with it when I got it home. I remember my joy that I actually liked it. So this fragrance is a non-gourmand vanilla. So this is quite a woody, a little bit green, almost metallic vanilla. And it really makes me think of like clean line Scandinavian apartments. It makes me think of woods, blonde woods, old book pages, makes me think of libraries, tobacco even. And it also makes me think of the texture of leather or the coolness of leather, but it doesn't smell leathery. This one, really in the mid of the fragrance, is all about pencil shavings. It has that pencil shaving kind of smell to it. You smell both the wood of the pencil and also the little bit of the lead that's left on the pencil shaving. This fragrance is definitely one of those fragrances that is just not adequately described by the note profile. It's one you have to try, and I think the thing I like about this is because it's so casual. It's something that feels like, wearing a comfy pair of jeans or something. It's something that I never think, oh, I don't want to wear that today. I'm not enjoying this. It's something that is always making me feel like me. So that's Metal Wave by All Saints. So my choice for winter is going to be La Petite Robe Noire Black Perfecto by Guerlain. So I remember when I first got this fragrance, I was shocked by it. I don't think I'd ever tried a Guerlain fragrance before I bought this. And this was really one of the first fragrances that I bought to sort of grow my collection for the channel, really. It was something that I thought, oh, I really want to try this because everybody was talking about it. It was hyped to the hilt when I first started my channel. And for good reason. This is a really nice fragrance, and it's something that I really have learnt to appreciate more and more. It wasn't an instant love for sure. This was something that I had to keep trying, but now it is a love. So this one is a sort of almost grainy black leather fragrance, and it's got a hint of sort of powdery rose and then also a little bit of cherry in it as well. It does still have that La Petite Robe Noire core DNA of the tea, the almond and the cherry, but the cherry really is the most prominent thing of those three things. I think this one makes me think of going out in the wintertime. It makes me think of being in snow and perhaps having some leather boots on, and you're going out to go and drink something naughty and have some fun with somebody that you really like. And I think this one is just that ultimate calling card, isn't it? It's something that somebody would remember you for. This fragrance is very distinctive and it's really quite sexy in a way, but in a more kind of dialed down kind of way. This is one where you're not being overt about it. This one is just you're cool and no one can argue with you. So that's La Petite Robe Noire Black Perfecto. So my next choice is the fragrance for spring, and I'm going to pick another one of my favourites because this is a favourites video basically, isn't it? So you will have all heard me talk about this one probably endlessly. but I'm going to choose Chant d'Extase by Nina Ricci. So this fragrance actually led me to meet the fragrantician. So I was considering buying this fragrance and I went to watch a review on YouTube, like probably a lot of you all do, and I discovered Gabby. And I remember thinking, wow, she's cool. And I just wanted to buy this fragrance after watching her review. And I did buy this fragrance. So yeah, go check out Gabby's channel. So this fragrance, apart from being special for me discovering Gabby, is just a beautiful kind of almost marine, almost salty fragrance, but it is also fruity as well. So it has raspberry, it has ginger. Because of that ginger and the lemon in this fragrance, it's beautifully warm and inviting, and it has this sort of caramelized, musky dry down that is never too sweet, but it's just very, very intriguing. And it's not like anything else that I've smelt, actually, this fragrance. And I think this would even do for like the cooler summer days, actually. But this fragrance is a gourmand fragrance, but it's definitely on the lighter side of gourmand. So that's Chant d'Extase by Nina Ricci. So my pick for summer is going to be probably the most natural smelling fragrance that I've ever smelt, and that is Miller Harris's Found at Dusk. So this one is very reminiscent of my dad's garden, and I think that's why I like it. It just gives me childhood memories of being in my dad's garden and doing things that I really love, like watering things in the greenhouse and just pottering. And this one has blackcurrant leaves, black currants, and also tomato leaves in it, and we had all of those in our garden. So this for me is a lush English kitchen garden. It's something that makes me think of a very humid summer's day, something where you're expecting a storm any time, and perhaps you're standing underneath a tree and you have that coolness from the tree, but also the smells, the green smells from the tree and the fruits as well. It just is that childhood thing again, isn't it? That's where it's bringing me back to, and that's why I like it. Actually, in hot weather, this really doesn't last that long, but I do just really enjoy giving it a spritz, and I absolutely love the opening with the blackcurrant leaves, and oh, it's just gorgeous. The dry down is more of a piney musk to me, and I think that puts people off a little bit from this fragrance. The opening is definitely the star over the dry down, but you still do retain some of that blackcurrant in the dry down, and ultimately I absolutely love this fragrance. So that's my choice for summer, Miller Harris Found at Dusk. So let's move on now to fragrances for occasions. So I want one for work. So what do I actually reach for work? Well, the fragrance sort of type that I've worn to work probably most this year is sort of powdery, green violet leaf, or even violet fragrances. So the one that I discovered last year that I really liked was Balenciaga Paris, but I'm not going to choose that one today because that's not the one that I've been wearing non-stop. The one that I've been wearing non-stop is actually quite a similar fragrance to Balenciaga Paris, and it's Karl Lagerfeld's Kaleidoscope. So I bought this, a stupid name, I know. I bought this one in January, and you can see how little is left now, and it was probably about a half full bottle when I bought this. So this is something that is discontinued, which is why I've never spoken about it, because I'm always a bit sort of dubious about talking about things that people can't get. But ultimately this is a favourites video, so I'm just going to talk about what are my favourites, and this one is a favourite. So this one is very nearly gone, and I'd say this is a friendlier, less aloof version of Balenciaga Paris. This is the one that is a little bit warmer. So this one is just a powdery, green feeling, but not bitter, more sort of herbal, sweet herbal violet fragrance. It's something that has Angelica listed, but I don't think I smell that. I think I smell something that's more like aniseed. You know when you brush past an aniseed plant with the fronds? I smell like that smell. It's sort of only very light and quite green and sort of silvery grey in colour to me, this fragrance. I think this one is really long lasting, and actually that it's kind of warmer than Balenciaga Paris. It's got a more of an inviting feel about it, and I think that's important when I'm teaching and trying to interact with people, that I want to feel warm and inviting and not standoffish or cold. It also lasts the whole day because it does have patchouli in it, and I think that really helps it to last a little bit longer. But the patchouli is really not something that is overwhelming. It's something that is very background. Ultimately, this is a violet fragrance, and it's something that I think YouTube again has made me discover how much I like violet in fragrances, because it's just not that prominent in designer fragrances anymore, is it, violet? There are very few that are prominent with violet because it's quite old-fashioned. And yeah, I'm just pleased to have some violet fragrances in my life. So that's Kaleidoscope by Karl Lagerfeld. So the next fragrance is my casual day off fragrance, and the one I'm going to choose is Glossier You. So I've had this for quite some time, and do you know what? I've stopped using it because I've got so little left and I've been hoarding it. And honestly, the power is within me to buy a second bottle, isn't it? It's not discontinued. I don't know why I'm being so ridiculous about this fragrance, but I fell in love with it, and now I'm just sad because I might finish a bottle. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I'm going to try and, get my stuff together and move on with my life and use this up and buy another bottle. So this one, what's it like? Well, it's like a clean, musky, woody fragrance. It's described as your skin but better by a lot of people, and I'd agree with that. It's just true. I think this fragrance is just a clean canvas. It's a blank canvas where you can get on with your day. It's something that doesn't interfere with your thoughts. It's something that's very background, but it's very present. It's something that's really long lasting. It's not that strong, but if someone's near you, they will smell you, and it is really distinctive. People know when you're wearing Glossier You. It is a very distinctive fragrance. And I think it would make a really good signature fragrance, actually, because it is so clean smelling and so versatile and so everyday. I think this one reminds me of being in a very luxurious hotel and having had a nice warm bath or something and being ultra clean and getting into a freshly made bed with completely clean white sheets. That's what this fragrance feels like for me. So that's Glossier You. So my next fragrance choice is going to be my daytime all-rounder, and the one I'm going to choose is one that I fell in love with only about 4 or 5 months ago, and that is Cerruti 1881. So this fragrance is back to the 90s. This is just a floral fug. Basically any floral you can think of is probably in this fragrance, but really mimosa is the biggest thing, and it's a really sort of powdery, big feeling from this fragrance, but also super elegant. It makes me think of chintz and Laura Ashley and floral dresses. You can tell from what I'm wearing that I love a floral dress. I'm pretty much, my wardrobe is 100% floral. I'm just a floral kind of person. And this fragrance, even though it just looks so out of fashion, doesn't it, this bottle? It looks so 90s in style, but it was just such an unexpected discovery for me, this fragrance. It's something that I just couldn't leave alone in the shop. I had to keep going back to sniff because I just loved it so much. And I felt like I was buying something that was out of vogue and I didn't want to get this. And it's just, that's a ridiculous thing to think, isn't it? Just because something's floral and chintzy and musky, it doesn't mean that it's something that isn't now. So if you like the sound of a powdery floral fragrance with a kind of old school smelling musk in it, but nothing that's ever really dirty, then I would go and check this one out. You can try this one in store, and honestly, I think you'll be surprised if you haven't tried it. This one is incredibly long lasting and really is something you will smell throughout the day. It really does project. And it's something that I have been really surprised by and have really loved. So that's Cerruti 1881. So my next fragrance choice is my date night fragrance. And honestly, date night doesn't happen very often. But when it does, it's nice. And ultimately, the one I'm going to choose is Scandal by Night. So you can tell it doesn't happen very often because I've not used much of this fragrance. But honestly, I do love this fragrance. So this is a ultimate sticky, sweet cherry fragrance with a white floral undertone to it. And it's incredibly long lasting. It also has honey in this fragrance. And yeah, I love honey. I eat honey all the time. I probably get through a jar every about 3 or 4 weeks. Honestly, I eat so much honey. And this fragrance is a big love, I think, because of that honey. And also because of that almost sort of like cherry drop feel to this fragrance. It really reminds me of Pascal's cherry drops from when I was little. So this fragrance is just so delicious. And I remember I walked past my husband wearing this a couple of days ago and he said, "Oh, you smell edible." And that is just the feeling you get from this fragrance. You smell edible. You smell like something somebody wants to devour. And I don't think you can get a better date night fragrance than that. So Scandal by Night is my date night choice. So my next category is the fragrance that I would wear for a dinner out somewhere in the evening. And the fragrance I'm going to choose is Elizabeth Arden's Fifth Avenue Royale. So this fragrance again was doing the rounds on YouTube not that long ago, and definitely it deserves all the praise that it gets because it's just such a nice fragrance considering how inexpensive this fragrance is. So this is a deep, boozy, leathery patchouli fragrance. It's something that has a little bit of a fruitiness to it as well. It has raspberry. I think the thing I like about this fragrance is that it's just not too strong. And I think when you're going out for dinner, you don't want a fragrance that's going to dominate your food and stop you enjoying what you're tasting. And this one is really quite subtle considering the notes that are in here and how strong they could be. This one is not something that's overdone. It's not something that is going to dominate anywhere or be off-putting to other people who might be eating with you. And I think that's why I like it. It's just a bit more considerate than other choices with these kinds of notes in it. But I do really love that sort of boozy leather in this fragrance. It's just really distinctive and it's something that makes you smell dressed up. So that's my choice for a dinner out, Fifth Avenue Royale by Elizabeth Arden. So my final fragrance category is a bit of a weird one and a bit personal to me really, because I'm going to choose the fragrance that means the most to me from my collection. And I could have chosen a few in my collection for this because there are quite a few that are associated with particular times in my life and events in my life. But the one I'm going to choose today is Kenzo World. So this fragrance for me represents moving on. I remember when I first tried this, I was so down, and ultimately the next day I went back to buy it because I felt so excited by this fragrance and I hadn't felt excited by anything for ages. And then I remember wearing this fragrance for the first time the next day and I just felt like a different person. Changing your signature fragrance, which is what I had then, I had signature fragrances, can make you feel like you're shedding a skin. It can make you feel like a different person to a certain extent. It can lift your mood. It can make you feel buoyed up and it can make you feel sort of renewed in a way. And that's how this fragrance made me feel. So this one is a fruity fragrance. So for me, it's like a red berry to begin with. And it also has a lot of ambroxan, which I think is probably the most controversial thing about this fragrance. For me, the ambroxan here isn't troublesome because it's crystal clear and aquatic feeling. There's also florals here, but it's a very indistinct kind of floral. It's definitely more ambroxan and more of the berries than anything else. I think this fragrance ultimately just represents moving on for me, and I think as well it represents differences of opinion on YouTube, and it's something that makes me think that it's okay to be me, because ultimately it doesn't matter in life, does it, if people disagree about fragrances. It's not going to cause wars. It's something that is just a matter of opinion. It's all subjective. No one needs to berate somebody for liking something that they don't. There's no need for that. That's just not how you behave. So ultimately, this is a fragrance that I love, that other people might not love, and that's okay. So that's Kenzo World. So that's the final fragrance in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, then please press the like button, and please also consider subscribing if you haven't done already. And please let me know which fragrances are in your top 10. And what do you think of the idea of top 10 videos generally? Do you think people are always going to change their minds? Or have your fragrances been set in stone for a while now? Please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.